In the chilly twilight of New Terra, the tranquility was shattered by a blazing streak across the sky. Commander Alice Harper dashed towards the source of the explosion, her heart pounding in sync with the disturbing wails of a child that sliced through the tumult. Amidst the swirling smoke and scattered debris, a young mother held her injured son close, their faces etched with shock and agony. "Commander! They promised today would be peaceful," the mother exclaimed, as Alice knelt beside them, her expression turning steely with determination. Through her communicator, a taunting voice crackled. "A regrettable oversight, Commander Harper. Surely, you can overlook a simple mistake." Alice's reply was frosty, her eyes locked on the child's tear-streaked face. "This was no oversight, Vexer. And rest assured, it will not go unanswered." The day dawned clear and tranquil on New Terra, a stark contrast to the turmoil that would soon erupt. Commander Alice Harper was supervising the reconstruction efforts on the outskirts of the capital when the sky was abruptly slashed by the fiery trail of a descending projectile. The ensuing explosion was not merely physical, it shattered the fragile peace that had been guaranteed during the ceasefire. Amidst the billowing smoke and ensuing chaos, Alice sprinted toward the epicenter of the explosion, her heart pounding fiercely. She arrived to find a scene of utter devastation, a small crater smoldering in the heart of what had once been a bustling marketplace. The sight that wrenched her heart the most was a young boy, no older than 7, crying inconsolably beside his unconscious mother. Alice knelt beside him, her expression a grim mask as she quickly assessed the boy's injuries. His cries pierced the murmurs of the onlooking crowd, each sob a damning indictment of the so-called ceasefire. "It was supposed to be a safe day," the boy whimpered between sobs, his words mirroring Alice's own sense of betrayal. Her communicator crackled to life, with the voice of Overlord Vexer sounding dismissively casual. "Commander Harper, how unfortunate that your people were in the wrong place at the wrong time. A regrettable error in our targeting systems, I assure you." Alice's reply was frosty, her voice barely containing her rage. "This error has wreaked havoc on innocent lives, Vexer. Your assurances are worthless. Actions have consequences, and I assure you, this will not go unanswered." As she spoke, her resolve solidified, reminiscent of the metal of the ancient Juggernauts lying dormant beneath the city. It was evident that diplomatic assurances were inadequate. It was time for action, it was time to awaken the giants. Commander Alice Harper stood in the dimly lit war room, her gaze steadfastly fixed on the ancient map spread across the table. It detailed the subterranean levels of New Terra, pinpointing the resting places of the dormant Juggernauts, towering relics from a bygone era. Despite the Council's reservations, Alice was certain that their only hope against the Xaltraxians lay deep below, with these formidable guardians. "We're really going through with this, aren't we?" Major Tom Bennett, her second in command, asked, his voice infused with a mix of awe and apprehension. Alice nodded resolutely. "We have no choice, Tom. The Xaltraxians perceive us as weak, expendable. It's time we remind them and everyone else who we truly are." Their descent to the vault was fraught with peril. The ancient lift system creaked and groaned under their weight as it carried them deep into the planet's bowels. The air chilled, and the enveloping darkness seemed to press close from all sides. "This place. It's like stepping back through time," Lieutenant Sarah Collins murmured, her flashlight's beam dancing over the intricate carvings on the walls that depicted the Juggernauts in battle. The chamber housing the Juggernauts was vast, its ceiling vanishing into shadow above them. The giants themselves stood silent and imposing, their metallic surfaces dulled by time yet still radiating an aura of indomitable strength. Approaching the central console, a relic in its own right, Alice placed her hand on the dusty interface. It hummed to life, ancient symbols glowing beneath her fingers. "Let's hope they still listen," she murmured, initiating the awakening sequence. The ground shook as the Juggernauts stirred to life, gears whirring and hydraulics hissing. The air crackled with energy, and a deep, resonant voice echoed through the chamber. "Protectors activated. State your directive." Alice stepped forward, her pulse quickening. "Protect New Terra from the Xaltraxian threat." Directive acknowledged, the voice boomed. Assessing threat level. Preparing defense protocols. The team watched in awe as the Juggernauts, each towering over 15 meters tall, stepped from their pedestals, their movements surprisingly fluid. Commander, what if they can't be controlled? Sarah's voice was a hushed whisper. Alice faced her team, her expression one of unwavering resolve. Then we lead them. These guardians were designed to protect this planet, and we will guide them in that mission. We're not merely activating weapons, we're awakening allies. As they ascended back to the surface, Alice felt the weight of history upon her shoulders. The Juggernauts were not merely machines, they were symbols of the ingenuity and resolve of a civilization long vanished. Now they stood as beacons of hope for her people. On the surface, preparations for the imminent battle were in full swing. Inspired by the activation of the Juggernauts, the citizens of New Terra rallied to support their new champions. Engineers and mechanics worked alongside the military, integrating modern technology with the ancient systems. Alice addressed the assembled forces, both human and mechanical, her voice echoing across the field. Today, we stand united, not merely as survivors but as defenders of our home. These Juggernauts symbolize our resilience and our commitment to safeguard what is ours. Let the galaxy witness and learn what it means to challenge humanity on our own soil. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the landscape, Alice sensed the dawn of something monumental. The Juggernauts, once dormant sentinels of the past, were now dynamic defenders of the present. Under her command, they would carve a new future for New Terra. The night before the battle, Alice walked among the Juggernauts, their metallic forms gleaming beneath the stars. She touched one of the colossal feet, the cool metal smooth beneath her hand. "We are ready," she said softly, more to herself than to the giant. "For New Terra, for humanity." Dawn broke on New Terra, the sky painted with the grim hues of an impending storm. Commander Alice Harper stood overlooking the plains stretching before the city, where the Juggernauts stood in formidable silence, their towering forms casting long shadows in the early light. "Commander, all units are in position," Major Tom Bennett reported, joining Alice at her vantage point. "The Juggernauts are synced to our command network. They're ready." Alice nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "And the civilians?" "Evacuated to the underground shelters. They're safe for now," Tom replied, his voice steady despite the tension that underlined his words. Alice took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the distant movement stirring on the horizon. "It begins," she said quietly. The Xaltraxian forces advanced swiftly, a formidable array of armored units and aerial drones moving with chilling precision. Overlord Vexor's flagship, a colossal vessel looming ominously overhead, served as the command center for the battle. Alice's communicator crackled to life. "Commander Harper, this is Overlord Vexor. Surrender now, and perhaps we can negotiate terms that spare your city the worst of our wrath." Alice's response was resolute. "New Terra does not bow to threats, Overlord. We stand ready to defend our home." As the first wave of Xaltraxian drones entered the Juggernaut's range, Alice gave the command. "Engage!" The Juggernauts sprang to life, their ancient weapons systems, now enhanced with modern technology, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts that illuminated the morning sky. The ground trembled under the force of their strikes, a thunderous cacophony resonating across the plains. Taken aback by the ferocity and precision of the Juggernauts' defense, the Xaltraxian advance faltered. Their drones, overwhelmed by the onslaught, began to fall in smoking ruins. "Push them back! Maintain the pressure!" Alice commanded, her voice a beacon of strength for her troops. Bolstered by the effectiveness of the Juggernauts, the human forces surged forward with renewed vigor. Infantry units moved under the cover of the colossal protectors, targeting weakened Xaltraxian positions and reclaiming ground with strategic precision. Alice coordinated the battle from the front lines, her presence inspiring her troops and ensuring the Juggernauts' actions were seamlessly integrated with human tactics. Her communicator kept her in constant contact with all units, her commands directing the flow of the battle like a conductor with an orchestra. "Major, take your squad and flank the eastern ridge. We can cut off their retreat," Alice directed, pointing to the holographic battle map that displayed the terrain and troop movements. "Understood, Commander," Tom acknowledged, signaling his team to move out. As the sun climbed higher, the tide of battle shifted unmistakably in favor of New Terra. The Xaltraxians, unable to withstand the combined might of human ingenuity and ancient power, began to retreat. Their initial confidence dissolved into desperation, their orderly retreat devolving into a chaotic scramble to escape the relentless assault of the Juggernauts. Alice watched as Overlord Vex's flagship, now vulnerable without its drone escort, began to ascend, preparing to warp away. She grabbed her communicator, channeling her triumph into a final message to the retreating Overlord. "Let this be a lesson, Vexer. Underestimate us at your peril." The battlefield, strewn with the remnants of Xaltraxian technology and echoing with the victory cheers of her soldiers, was a testament to their resilience. The Juggernauts, standing amidst the debris, resembled ancient gods of war, their might undisputed. As the adrenaline of battle subsided, Alice allowed herself a moment to feel the weight of their victory. They had saved New Terra, not merely from the Xaltraxians but from the shadow of fear that had loomed over them. The Juggernauts had been more than weapons, they were symbols of New Terra's indomitable spirit. Walking among the ranks of her troops, Alice shared handshakes and embraces, her pride in their bravery and sacrifice evident in her eyes. Each soldier, each engineer, each citizen who had stood firm against the threat embodied the best of humanity. That night, as the Juggernauts powered down, standing sentinel over the city they had defended, Alice looked out over New Terra. The city lights, flickering back to life, mirrored the stars above, a reflection of the cosmos that was both their home and their challenge. "We did more than survive today," she thought. "We affirmed our place in this universe." As the dust settled on the battlefield of New Terra, Commander Alice Harper surveyed the scarred landscape from the command center, with the Juggernauts standing silently in the background. The sun was setting, casting elongated shadows and bathing the metallic giants in a soft, golden glow, a stark contrast to the day's earlier violence. "Commander, the Council is ready for your debrief," Major Tom Bennett announced, stepping up beside her. Alice nodded, her gaze lingering on the horizon. "Inform them we'll begin shortly." As she prepared to address the Council, Alice's mind raced with a whirlwind of emotions. They had secured an incredible victory, yet it had come at a great cost. The landscape bore scars, a visceral reminder of the battle's ferocity, and the people of New Terra, while resilient, were weary, their spirits unbroken but undoubtedly shaken. Entering the council chamber, Alice was met with expressions of relief and awe from the assembled leaders. She began her debrief with a somber tone, acknowledging the sacrifices made and the lives forever changed. "We stood our ground today, not just for New Terra but for humanity's right to exist and thrive in the galaxy," Alice stated firmly. "The Juggernauts, our ancient protectors, have proven invaluable. But let us not forget, it is the courage of our people that truly held the line." A council member interjected, "And what of the Xaltraxians, Commander? Can we expect retaliation?" Alice paused, her expression thoughtful as she considered her response. "We have sent a clear message today. While we must remain vigilant, we have also opened a door. It is now just as crucial that we advocate for peace as we prepare for potential war." As the meeting concluded, Alice felt a profound sense of duty to not only rebuild and fortify New Terra but also to elevate it as a beacon of hope and strength in the universe. She returned to the window, watching as the Juggernauts stood guard over the city, their towering presence both a promise of protection and a reminder of the indomitable resilience that defines humanity.